And welcome to the podcast, Lead With Me, sponsored by Carlberg Consulting Group and the San Antonio Manufacturers Association. Today, I'm lucky enough to have Gary Peterson, Senior Executive Vice President, OC Tanner, out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And I've known Gary almost the whole time as his career over there, as I changed jobs multiple times like that. But tell me a little bit about yourself, Gary. I mean, you've really have taken lean to the next level with OC Tanner. And I remember early on, Harold was over there, Simon's.
That's right.
Was the one that really kind of kicked it off initially.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your career and about OC Tanner. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So we had a change in the way we go to market, and it changed the way our ordering patterns came in. And it meant that our order size was plummeting. Instead of having big batches of product to produce, we had to produce in small units. And so our costs were spiraling out of control. Efficiencies were going down. And this was back in the 80s. A lot of companies were offshoring. So yeah,
I did some of that with General Electric.
Yeah, so I think the company was trying to figure out what does the future look like for manufacturing at the OC Tanner Company, and I kind of think it was a last-ditch effort, but they posted a position for a facilitator of change. I was in the marketing department at the time, manager of market research, and this was a director job. So it was a promotion.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, I want to get promoted. So I didn't know a whole lot about manufacturing, except I had seen a video in MBA school in an operations class of one-piece flow that Hewlett-Packard did back in the 70s. Blew my mind. And so I knew that we could actually be more efficient if we went to one-piece flow. So that's one thing that I knew. And my uncle, who was in the HR business, he also told me that your people are probably being underutilized. I bet you can get more out of people. So those are the two things I kind of went into thinking, and just started training for people being more involved, and immediately changing the way we were flowing products. Started testing some one-piece flow, and it worked great. All the tests we did. But the problem was just getting people to come along, getting management to come along. Even our CEO, who had given me the job, he didn't like what we were doing. So it was kind of fighting City Hall, fighting everybody, and had some real run-ins with my boss, who was the president of manufacturing, and his eventual departure is what led to Harold coming.
Okay.
Yeah. So when Harold came, all of a sudden, my life got a lot easier. He
understood.
Yeah, he understood what we were trying to do and had some great ideas. He had the engineering background. And so he's the one who brought in Rex Morgan, who helped us right-size all the equipment, make it all mobile, get it all so that we could get away from the huge batch machinery that we had. And over the course of the first 5 years, we took the lead time from 26 days down to 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Really fantastic. And in doing so, saved a ton of money, and I think saved manufacturing being done at the OC Tanner Company in the United States. And but most importantly, my uncle told me that people could be so much better than they are, because they're not being invited to participate, and there's so much potential there. And I thought he had something, but I didn't understand.
But actually, if you study the Toyota production system, that's the secret sauce.
Yes, and I had really studied
I know.
the Toyota production system.
I've been studying it for years. And after a while, the light bulb comes on, Whoa, I mean, I missed that. It's not all tools, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, so as impressive as the reduction lead time is, the efficiency gains were, we went from 1,400 people to 140. We stopped hiring for 10 years just because efficiencies were just coming hand over fist. The quality, huge gains there. And impressive as those are, I really think that when I ask people who come to visit OC Tanner, we have visitors almost every week. Why do people tell you to come? Why are you here? And they say, I'm supposed to get on the floor and talk to your people. And it's the people And what we accomplished there that I think is truly stupendous. They own their little cells, their mini factories. They run their business like owners. They act like entrepreneurs. They're creative. They're innovative, and they're happy. And I think that's kind of the O.C. Tanner story.
You know what's amazing, because I've gone, as you know, I've probably done more tours there than anybody else. I'm almost there every year.
Yeah.
But anyway, what amazes me about your factory floor when you go down there, and I see all the flags, it looks like a little United Nations.
That's right.
And I'm thinking to myself, how do you get these people to communicate with each other?
Yeah. Well, so it is like a mini United Nations. Salt Lake City is an international Red Cross destination. So whenever there's a refugees because of war somewhere in the world, one of the places they can choose to move to is Salt Lake City. And truly some astonishing people.
Oh, really?
Have moved to
really
Salt Lake
impressive.
City. Yeah.
And English is their second language.
Yes. And so initially, and the company hired them for decades. So we had, when I moved to the manufacturing 35 years ago, it was all sorts of people from all over the world, from 3 decades of war situations before the ones we have now. And none, they didn't speak English. And actually, they didn't care that they didn't speak English, because they didn't want them talking. They wanted them to sit down and do the job and just shut up and do what they're told. And so we started to engage them with each other, and realized it was probably 5 years into it that our biggest obstacle was going to be language. I tried at first sitting them by language group. You know, the Vietnamese here, you had different groups together who spoke the same language, but you get a lot of groupthink.
Oh, yeah. It's like you get the same thing if you don't use something like Myers-Briggs. You get a lot of groupthink, because you need diversity.
That's right. Because people tend to migrate naturally towards people who are like them, and therefore they think a lot. Therefore they solve the problems in a not effective way. But if you split up the personalities and the characteristics and the native origins and whatever, and get people really talking to each other, you get some great solutions. So we actually brought an English teacher on campus. 2 years, we would take people out of the work during the workday, sit them in an English class, teach them English. Some people didn't want to do it. Some people didn't want to admit that they thought maybe it would look bad for them if they didn't speak English. So they kind of missed the bus, unfortunately. There's always fear.
Oh, there always is.
Always
change. Yeah, change is always fear.
But by the end of that time, the next thing we had to really focus on was we're going to have all our conversations in English. We're going to slow everything way down so that you have time to listen what they're saying. Oh, what did she mean? What did he mean? And then decide how you feel about it. And then how do I say what I think? So all the conversations slowed down. But now it's been 30 years. All the conversations are full speed in English. We do now have English as a requirement, but we have every level of English speaker, and the accents in the factory are wonderful to hear. Everyone's got an accent.
Oh, that's true. That is really true.
Yeah. So,
when I was out trying to figure out how to turn around a division in Harris Corporation, that's when I got connected with the Shingo Prize. I mean, I had looked at Industry Week, the Baldridge Award, and I stumbled on the Shingo Prize.
Right.
And I think you did the same thing.
Absolutely stumbled on it. And I remember after we received the Shingo Prize, that's when I met you.
Oh, yeah.
And you were on the board of the Shingo Institute at the time. And Harold joined you there.
On again, off again. I've been on, and then I got recruited again to come back on again.
Yeah. Well, 10 years later, when Harold retired and I joined the board, you were still on the board. We served together for a little while.
For a number of years.
Yeah, which is really nice. But so I was, I mentioned that in those first few years, I was trying to get people engaged. I was trying to get management doing things differently. I was trying to move to one-piece flow. But everyone kept kind of asking me, where are you getting all this? Where's this coming from? Why would we do this? And I didn't have a good answer. I saw a video, Hewlett Packard. That was my only answer. And then
and they did some amazing stuff.
Yeah, truly. 3 or 4 years later, I stumbled across the Shingo model. And it wasn't exactly in its current format. Now the culture
was more
much
tools
stronger.
back then.
It was tools yes.
back then.
But it was something I could hang my hat on. And just having it, having a model, it shut a lot of the questions down. People are like, okay, there is some. This is what you're basing on.
And this is the criteria.
This is the criteria. This is what we're trying to do. And it also gave us some guidance, gave us some things to work on. So, when in 99, we had taken and put together all of the processes into a U-shaped cell. The ones we could. We still had plating, which was an offshoot, and the lacquer room, and some ammonia-fed ovens that were, not in the cell. But everyone I talked to, when I talked about doing a flow, when they found out that I was a high-volume mixed model manufacturer, they said, "Oh, this won't work for you."
But it does.
It does. Yeah,
I love it.
I love it. Me was that you can't do this because doing something like Toyota requires kind of just a uniform flow, like a Model T.
Yeah.
And anyway, we showed you could do it, and that's actually why we received the Shingo Prize in '99. It wasn't because we had implemented tools across the enterprise. We hadn't. It wasn't because we had accomplished anything great culturally like is required now, although we have now. It was because we showed that the principles work. No matter what the industry is, no matter what the work is you're doing, no matter who's doing it, the principles work. And so we got the Shingo Prize. Now, when Ross came to me and said, "Hey, this is spectacular. I think you ought to apply for the Shingo Prize." Now, I knew enough to know that we don't qualify. I told him, I don't think we should do this. I think this is be bad for us. We're going to fail. And he kept pushing me. He was pushing me hard enough. I thought, maybe he knows more than I do. And we received it. And then we've just continued to follow the process and get better and better.
What's amazing about OC Tanner, because I've been doing examinations not only for Shingo, but for the Association of Manufacturing Excellence for years. Yeah. And I love doing it. My employees I used to drive them crazy because every time I do an audit, I'd come back with 3 or 4 takeaways that we're going to have to implement. But anyway, what I was getting up to is a lot of the factories that I reviewed and went through and where they were applying for recognition, when management changed, they kind of lost focus on really where they were going.
Right.
And the amazing thing in my mind about OC Tanner is the fact that you're privately held, and you've been on this journey for over 30 years.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that as I visit a lot of different plants, and it's one of the best ways to learn is to see what other people are doing. Most of the systems we have are copies of things we've seen somewhere else. Our version.
But you've refined them to make them yours.
Well, and I say that. Yeah. I say that to anybody who sees our systems. I said, don't do what we're doing. Take the idea, and if it fits you somehow, match it to what you're doing. And our system's also evolving all the time. So people come, I was here 3 years ago, and you guys are different. I love to hear that.
That's a good sign.
We just keep evolving.
I think it's one of the reasons you keep inviting me back.
Yeah, I think so. But I think there's something to learn from everybody. I think early on when I was visiting plants and I saw their deficiencies, I thought, well, what am I doing here? And I realized, no, there's something good everywhere. There's something to learn. Just go and see and watch and observe. So that's kind of my rule as well.
What's amazing, because, a lot of people will implement all this in manufacturing, but they have resistance in the office areas or other areas of the business. What amazed me that where you've done it, I've never had a factory tour where they were really very proud of their facilities janitorial department, and that was a stop on your tour. And I'm thinking to myself, this is different.
Yeah.
But it amazed me that how they applied standard work.
Yeah.
To that.
Well, so we're a go and see site for McKinsey and Company.
Yeah.
They bring their clients to us, and when we're down at the housekeeping area, which it doesn't report up to me, it reports up to our people department. Every time somebody says as we're leaving, this is my favorite part of the tour, and I ask, well, what is it that you love about it? They say that you don't expect to see it in janitorial. You don't expect it to see it in housekeeping. They're talking standardized work. They're talking standard workstations in terms of the carts, they're pushing around to clean facilities with. Even things like which towels you use, which times, and they've got all the supplies lined up well with replacement Kanban, and they do a wonderful job, and they're happy.
Oh, the people don't want to leave.
That's right.
They love their job.
The energy is spectacular.
It's really high there.
Yeah,
really great.
Nice.
You have quite a strategic planning process with host encountering. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, it was something that we heard we should do. Okay, what is this? I don't know. Well, let's give it a shot. And there's a strategy for the company, and you try and get people connected to the strategy and doing projects that are moving the company forward. And that sounded like a good idea. And when I actually left manufacturing for about 5 years, just before Harold retired, I have to retire this year because I just turned 65. And
young kid.
Yeah. And that's the rule at OC Tenor. Executives are gone at 65. And Harold was 5 years away from it. I knew he was going, and I thought it was the best policy in the world. He's going to go. I get his job. So I can't complain about the
you
policy
trained under him for 5 years.
I was under him for like 12 years.
Well, that's great. I mean, he was an amazing man.
Fantastic. I love Harold to death. And anyway, I went to marketing, back to marketing, and formed a team that was working on new products that we could make, and they've created all these incredible new products that we're going to market with, and then our CEO asked me to create our company's first strategy map, and so I put together I pulled some people from my team, Tolan Brown, who's actually taking my place. He's going to be
great guy.
He's going to be the new executive vice president.
Great replacement.
He and I and another member of the executive team, Catherine Creer, we sat down and we put together the first company strategy map. And then we thought, okay, how do we connect all of the different operations, finance, manufacturing, client success, tech, to the strategy map? And we had already been doing strategy deployment in the factory for about 10, 12 years, but we didn't have a corporate strategy to connect with. We were just picking things that we felt were strategic. And I think when we got the strategy map, and this was probably 15 years ago now, then our strategy deployment became really strategic. And we do a great job of cascading the new strategy every year to all of our team members, sharing with them a ton of information. Finance comes in and talks about profitability and all the different products, and we know which products are doing really well and which products are kind of lagging. And everyone's like, okay, this is what we got to do. This we got to fix. And the teams take 2 weeks to figure out how to connect to the strategy, what their target statement's going to be for the next year, and the lead metric that they're going to use to drive the target outcome. And it's powerful. You walk into any team and you ask any team member, what's the big strategic thing you're working on? They'll walk you over to their visual management board, and they'll point at the measurement. Here's the charts. Here's our lead. This is what we're doing. And the reason why we're doing this is, and they point at the strategy map, which is right on the board. This is what we're connecting to right here. This is why it matters.
And what I saw is the strategy map for the company is right outside your office on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey, every time somebody walks by, they can
there
see
it is.
There
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, well, every team has it on their board
Or
too.
two.
Yeah, it's on every
but they
team board.
kind of break it down into the organization.
That's right. That's right. So I think it's one of our top 5 systems, I would say, partially because it drives the daily Kaizen. You get a nice upward flow in measurements, and then you go through your strategy deployment project and you get a bump. Yeah, and then you got a higher level from which you're going.
And now, if I remember correctly, you do quite a few report outs from the teams throughout the year.
That's right. So we visit them every quarter. We're on the Gemba, of course, all the time, but we visit specifically with the idea of telling us what's going on. We'll give them an hour. My whole team goes, and they show off. The team members come and they tell us everything they're doing. A lot of time in the line, behind equipment, looking at something they fixed. This used to be a bother. This used to hurt us, and now we got this better. And showing us changes in the process and in the flow. I think, and I tell my team, they're all smart people. But we're not going in there to show them how smart we are. We're going in there to show them how smart we think they are. And so we're listening to them, and all my team is doing is just like grinning and nod. Wow, you guys are amazing. Nobody asks a question that says, well, let me show you how smart I am with this question. Nobody does that, which I think is a big deal.
But here again, it's team empowerment. It all comes down to.
Yeah, I think so. Our teams love to have us come because when we leave, they feel good about themselves and they feel good about what they're doing.
The other thing I noticed there, and actually when you do a tour there, you kind of do that as part of the tour, but you come up with a system in your calendar base, and it tells one of your managers he's got to go down and do a gimbal walk, and actually has to pull a card.
That's right.
Different cards for different things to really look at, and go around and do that audit. So it forces everybody to get down into the Gemba.
Yeah. Well, I might say it invites them. It doesn't force them. It invites them. But
I don't know.
But I'll also say,
a lot of businesses, it's forcing them to do it. But with you really are inviting them because everybody really wants to do it.
Yeah.
I had to fight that in my businesses. I said, this is part of your job.
Yeah.
You got to go down and you got to understand what's going on on the floor. So
I do have
there's a transition period there and how you get into a lean environment.
So it's fun. I like playing with that idea of force, but we do have a board that has like our safety audits and our L4s, and it also has the Gemba assessments.
Yeah.
And if you have more than 5 in your register, you got to turn it from green to red. So I'm not forcing them, but there is a little bit of shame.
Oh yeah.
If you're not keeping up with your Gemba assessments.
And it's all about competition.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody wants to let the team down.
Well, to that point, so we've got a monthly safety audit that every exempt employee has to do. And they have some to do, and their team members have things to do. And so they got two magnets. One that says I did mine, and my team have done theirs. And then at the top of the board is mine, and I get mine done, in the first half of the month. But there's another one that says my team has not completed all theirs. If there's any red on the board, mine stays red. And it's monthly. So at the end of the month, if I notice Shane, for example, hasn't done his yet, I'll say, hey, Shane, when you do your safety audit, when you turn yours over, would you just reach up and turn mine over too? I'm not forcing him.
That works just fine. It gets the message across.
Yeah, it definitely gets it done.
I've got a few questions about your management style that I'd like to go through.
Yeah.
Can you share a story in the past that had a profound impact on your leadership style, something that you did?
Yeah. So we've done a lot of work with the Arbinger Institute.
That's true.
The idea of the outward mindset. And many years ago, back before I was the executive VP, when I was in marketing trying to create new products, we trained all the employees on having more of an outward mindset. And one of the assignments we got was first, they didn't tell us what we were doing. They just write down somebody you're struggling with. So I wrote down Byron's name. I'm struggling with Byron, the guy in pricing, and someone else in sales. And then the assignment was, you got to go talk to them and ask them what keeps them up at night, what bugs them, what are their struggles. Just try to understand them. And the reason why I wrote his name down is my team was creating new products and trying to price them, and he was just a pain in the butt when it came to getting the pricing right. And oh man, he was irritating my whole team. Everyone had this problem with Byron. So I wrote Byron's name down. Now I got to go talk to Byron and ask him, what his struggles are, what his difficulties are, what makes his job hard. And I set up the appointment. Obviously, he knows why I'm coming because he's in the training too.
We went through that at Harris.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So I sit down with him, and he says, well, Gary, let me tell you. And he starts to describe how difficult the pricing system is and the things that make it hard. And I realize my team is doing all of those things that make it impossible for him to do his job. I sat down thinking, you're a butt. 5 minutes later, I was thinking, oh, Byron, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What can I do to fix this?
I'm sorry. I need to fix this. Let's figure this out. And so a half-hour conversation, and my whole perception of him is switched. Now, instead of treating him like an antagonist to me and my team, I'm thinking, I got to help him. I go back to my team. I'm like, let's do this differently. And anyway, I think that whole idea of if I've got a struggle with somebody, let's figure it out. Let's fix it. And I think that was one of the big changes in my leadership style.
Oh, that's great. I've got another question.
Yeah.
In what ways has your leadership style evolved over time?
So, when I was a young man when I started our change effort. I was in my early 30s. And I'm hard driving. I get things done. I'm pleasant enough, but I drive hard. And
well, you don't become successful. You got to meet the.
I think that's what I had to do to change the business. Mm-hmm. People liked me, but people were afraid of me as well. And then over time, I start to actually become a line leader. Then I actually own the business. And I still found myself making people fear me at times. And somebody would say something. Here's what it was, is I had realized during our transition that if there was something that could slow us down or stop momentum, I had to cut it off. And I was pretty good at identifying the things that would stop us, keep the momentum going.
You and I are two peas in a pod, I can tell you.
But now here I am. We've changed the whole business. Everyone's in, and I'm still doing it. Somebody says something in the huddle that I think maybe is a threat, and I'm like, shut it down. And I have a personal coach, and I'm working with him, and he's like, what do you want to work on? I said, man, I still get angry about stuff, and I wish I could fix this. And this was 15 years ago. And so we're trying to identify what it was that was causing that. And it took months for me to realize that I was still trying to stop anything that would kill momentum. And one simple thought that he and I came up with changed everything for me. And that was that nothing's going to stop us now. We are so far down the road. Everybody's in. Nothing anybody says or does can hurt. And it was just like that, I was able to stop that bad behavior. It just wasn't necessary anymore. And my team noticed. You're a lot more fun now. You're a lot easier to be around.
Well, and I kind of experienced some of the same thing. And I had a coach, back then, and I had trouble not only with myself but with my team.
Yeah,
the same way.
Yeah.
So we went off, and I bought a bunch of baseball caps.
Yeah.
In the front, it had coach,
and
then in the back of it had manager, and sometimes you have to turn the hand around. You have to be a manager, but the majority of the time you got to be a coach.
Yeah. But here's the problem with me clamping down on things is people were guarding what they were thinking and what they were saying. And so we weren't getting the full person. We weren't getting the full views. And once I fixed that, it became more safe. People could, well, I got a concern about this. Let's hear it, and it wasn't like they didn't have to worry about what my reaction would be. So that was a huge step forward for the whole organization.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got another question. How do you handle feedback and criticism as a leader?
Yeah. So I don't think I was good at it when I was younger. That's the funny thing about age is you start to become more and more decrepit, and
tell me about it.
And yet, if you let the experiences of life kind of work on you, you're a better human being, hopefully. And I know that it doesn't always happen in every case, but I just became more comfortable. I've become more comfortable with time with being vulnerable, with being open. Even if somebody's wrong about their criticism, what they're saying, there's usually a kernel of truth in there somewhere, something that I ought to be paying attention to. And so I like to be curious now. I like to be curious about people's viewpoints and about their differences and their criticisms of me, and open to hearing about it.
It's something you learn over life.
Yeah,
over your lifespan. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, it does not.
How do you maintain your mental and emotional health while shouldering responsibility of leadership?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate in that I have a very wonderful family. I have 6 kids. I have 19 grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
Doug, 19 grandchildren.
Well, a lot to be proud of.
All 13 and younger, so it's just a zoo. But I think having I'm very family centered, and so having that in the background, that and kind of a spiritual anchor, service in a spiritual way. Those two things have given me health on the other side. And in my darkest times, having my faith and having my family, I think have been a great help to me. Also, because I'm so family oriented, I've coached all my kids in soccer.
Wow. I see that on Facebook.
Yeah. So I've got pictures of all the teams I've coached through the years. I've got dozens of team photos in my den on the walls. That was very grounding for me. And then physically, I'm very active, a lot of exercise. I like to snowboard, and I exercise every day, and I eat well. I sleep enough. I like to sleep enough. So I try to take care of myself physically, spiritually. I read a lot. Just try and stay well-rounded.
It's worked. I can tell it's really worked. My last question today is, can you tell me about a time that you had to lead your organization through a crisis? I know I had to during COVID.
That's what I was in. COVID would be my example. We, of course, my son is a doctor, and a couple of weeks into COVID, he said to me, Dad, there's a lot of need for innovation in medicine right now. And if anyone could be involved with that, you guys ought to have a hand. And I was like, well, I don't even know where to start. He gave me the name of a doctor who was kind of leading a group in the Salt Lake Valley. And O.C. Tanner became the de facto engineering arm of these guys. Hey, we need a device to hook this machine to this machine.
Wow.
So we draw it up. All of our tech team has 3D printers at home, and so we'd hand out the here's what we need, and we'd in a couple of days we'd have a number of parts that they could use. So and we have a lot of 3D printers, of course, at OC Tanner, but we were making parts, helping with that. We put up a face shield line, which were a big deal in those early days. We have a lot of healthcare clients, and we just provided them free of charge. And it became a fun experiment. How do we get it better? How do we get it faster? It was very good for us in the community, but it allowed us to stay open. So we kept working. Also providing products to our clients who a few months into COVID, companies around the world are like, man, we're losing connection with people. We got to somehow connect back up with them. And they turned to us naturally. How do we do this? And so our products became very, very useful to them. And so our people went from, the front office all went home, the factory's all working, all wearing masks. And I saw the fear in their eyes for the first couple of weeks, but then they kind of got a swagger. We know what we're doing. We know how to do this. But here's the other part of the story. 6 weeks go by, and I asked somebody about one of the systems. I don't remember which one I asked about. And they said, "Oh, we've suspended that." I said, "Well, what do you mean suspended it?" "Well, when COVID started, we stopped doing huddles, coaching, strategy deployment, Gemba assessment, idea system, problem solving. Oh my gosh, they stopped everything."
Wow.
And it blew my mind because I would have guessed that it would have taken, a force of God to stop lean at the O.C. Tanner Company. And it was COVID, stopped
Just
it
like
in its
the-
tracks. And I think it's because people were, it was supposed to be 3 weeks and we'd be done, right? People thought, I think,
that was a long haul. I can tell you.
I think people thought we'll just hunker down and this will end. Nobody thought, well, okay, doing huddles is going to be different because we have to space. We just won't do it. And it just astonished me that everything died. And I got people together in small groups and I said, look, when things are hard, you don't abandon systems. You double down on systems, turn them back on. It was just like, okay, we figured it out. And they did. They adapted and ran again. But that was a big learning, if I had noticed, we could have gone, how long could we have gone without it? And I just kept thinking.
And how far backwards would you have gone?
Would you have gone?
Yeah.
And even worse, the daily work would have just become a grind. It just would have been a grind. And so here we are suffering through COVID and work sucks. And that's where we would have ended up. And so just really pleased that we noticed it. Everyone got engaged again. The smile, I don't know if the smiles came back. I couldn't see their faces, but the eyes were lighting up again. And I thought that was a great learning lesson.
Gary, thank you so much for spending time with us today. This was a great story, and our leaders are going to love it. Here again, I'm Doug Carlberg, president of Carlberg Consulting and past chairman of the San Antonio Manufacturing Association. I'm here with Gary Peterson, executive vice president for O.C. Tanner, Salt Lake City. Thank you so much, Gary.
You're welcome, Doug. My pleasure.